Good morning, everyone. It's Tuesday morning again, and we are back. Today, I'm going to be in conversation with Bernadette Rigney. She's a young lady that I have been friends with on Facebook for a long time. We can't figure out when, but her first her first comment on one of my posts was in 2015, so it's a long time. And I can't believe that we have not met in person because we share the similar passions, and I thought it would be good for her to come on the show today and actually chat to us about how she got to where she is. She is an events manager. She is a recruitment person, and she's just all around living her life without limits. So I think that will be good. Bernadette, just please tell us a little bit about yourself, and yeah, then we get started.
Thanks, Suzanne. I'm so excited to be part of this platform. I've been keeping up with your shows and your interviews, and it's so exciting and informative. It's real stories and real people that we can resonate with.
Thank you.
I worked in government for 8 years, and I became involved in the disability sector 2 years after I started in government. And I saw that the small little things that are mentioned to facilities management, like putting a ramp up or just making a minor adjustment on building infrastructure, would actually have an impact and a ripple effect on the people's accessibility. So in 2014, I thought, let me start my own little company, like a lifestyle guide, and also assist in the recruitment sector, because South Africa has not reached their disability targets for persons in the workplace. And I also just wanted to encourage people to study further, to really pursue what their passions are. Like, if you take away the disability, would I still live the life that I'm living? And if you answer no to that, then we need to fix that and kind of pursue their passions.
So how did that, I mean, how long have you been doing that now? For about 6 years?
6 years, yeah. I can't believe Fability turned 6 in August. If there's no lockdown, we'll have a party, because I missed my birthday party.
Well, it's my birthday in August, so I'm hoping that we can do something. Just tell us a little bit more about the recruitment, and like you say, we haven't reached our targets. That has been like an ongoing struggle for a very long time. I don't think any corporate people have reached their targets.
Yeah.
How do you prepare people, like both sides? Do you work with the companies as well?
Yes, we prior to appointing a person with a disability, there is the sensitization training that they would go on, just to familiarize the staff complement and the management that there's going to be this new person coming on board. They might be blind or they might be deaf, and then just simple little etiquette skills and what not to do and what to say. But we can do all the training under the sun. It will only be when that person starts in the company that they would see, okay, everything I learned in that training is not relevant, because this person is so different. They're so adaptable in the organization. I was afraid, but now they actually became my friend. And, so there's, but at least we made the staff aware of the types of disabilities. And then the other important part is when I started in council, I heard a lot of people had been resigning, and I wanted to know, why are they resigning? Is it management? Are they not happy? Are they not getting along with anyone in the environment? And everything boiled down to infrastructure. Someone was responsible for printing, and the printing was on a very high table, so they couldn't reach that. And that caused an accountant to leave their job. And when you are disabled, not everybody is as open and they feel embarrassed to say, okay, I can't access the bathroom, or my computer screen has a glare and my eyes get hurt, by 10 o'clock in the morning. So, and then you get other people that are a bit more open, that, that say, okay, can you please move that, cable, or, yeah. So we would kind of come in there and listen to all the problems, and then compile a report and take that to the company and mention to them, were you aware that these were the little barriers that this person faced every day? And just try to be a little bit more wary of the next person that's coming into the position, so that we do cater in every aspect, from canteens to the working environment, desks, chairs, and so forth.
Oh, okay, that's quite interesting. Yeah, I think most companies do have wonderful policies, but they actually don't implement them that well, unless you have been sensitized, like we have, to be an activist. I remember in my previous job, the people actually wanted me to, well, because I was the executive and because I was a mom of a child with a disability, they all came and asked me to be the champion, because I knew what they were dealing with, because other people didn't actually understand what was going on. So that was like really interesting. But unless you have those kind of people in big organizations, we still don't have traction and awareness. You must tell us a little bit. I mean, you have an events company, and I know that COVID. I mean, I've had the experience myself, because I was scheduled to speak at lots of events up until, I think, August or September, and with COVID, they all got cancelled. So, and there was like no alternative in place. It was like either postponed or cancelled, and there was like this knee-jerk reaction. And for me, I couldn't understand it, because I do a lot of online speaking as well. It hasn't been a thing. So how have you experienced it in that part of your industry?
It was a big shock, because all the expos and everything was postponed until further notice. And when I take my disability away, I always think, what would you want to do? And events popped up in my mind, because I'm such a bubbly person and I love putting things together, and I love the adrenaline and the stress that comes along with, because an event never goes smoothly. There's always something that happens. And I was quite excited, especially for the Career Expo, the annual career. This is the 8th year or the 7th year that it's taking place. And we had to cancel, shift the date. And I thought, I'm not going to see all the learners and mingle with all the corporates. And it was a mental adjustment that we are facing this whole new digital world and social distancing. But along with that, I actually got to meet with more corporates, and I've been Zooming. I learned how to use Zoom. And, I saw the silver lining in all of this. And an event is fun, it's on the day, but the more important part is, what's the purpose of having events? And it was to bring awareness to the workplace. And so I continued to do that during lockdown. And so it just it wasn't too as daunting as what I thought it was. And I'm very thankful that some of the clients are still able to pay for some of the services that I'm providing. A lot of people are struggling. So none of us are getting our full salaries. It is, we're cutting back on certain things. So my heart goes out to the event planners, the caterers, the decor people, exhibitors, because their jobs were completely cut off.
And
Such a crazy time.
I think also with level 3, it does not come back. So there's continued hardship. Are there any alternatives? Have you sort of seen what people are doing?
Mhm. We are continuing to host the seminars, the more corporate work. So these seminars will continue taking place. There's constant social media type of networks popping up on how to have 100 people conversing at the same time, and platforms such as Zoom, and I'm not too sure what else there is out there. I'm still a Skype person, so I'm used to the old-fashioned Skype, but we're adjusting to all of these nice new methods of communicating. So on Friday, we'll have a trial run for one of the events taking place next week, a breakfast that was supposed to happen with multiple South African corporates. And the nice thing is that the staff members of Johannesburg don't have to be there alone. Now Durban and Cape Town can join in. So as much as the social distancing has caused us not to interact, it's actually caused a greater communication platform for more communicating.
Oh, yeah, that's what I found. I think that I've actually become more extrovert than
Yeah.
before. I I used to not socialize as much online like I am now. So it has its good, and I've been able to connect with lots of people like you, more in real time. Um, I think also I would like a woman with disability. How have you handled COVID and lockdown, and just the emotional side of the day-to-day living? And like you said, we're all facing little or no income. That kind of stress. Some of our listeners live alone. How do you get through a day?
Yeah, so I have assistants that help me. And the first week, the police would stop them from commuting and escort them back to their houses. And I was thinking, how am I going to get through this? Because I need my support team with me. And I phoned SAPS. I had to chat to the Premier's office. And finally, they explained, but there is a process with the permits that certain roles are essential. But the information wasn't made readily available for people to. And with my background, I knew who to contact and I knew who to speak to. And I felt so bad for the other disabled people who don't have that, the insight and that network to just pick up the phone and phone the right person. So I did share a lot on social media on Fability about this is how you get your permits. This is what you need to do for essential workers. And yeah, it was a struggle. The first week was the scariest ever because with my events now being postponed, and those are the biggest sources of income for Fability. And I think by the third week, I only then started emotionally, okay, this is what we're going to do. What if this goes on for 2 years? Because back in 1858, I think there was quite a big 2-year lockdown globally. So I needed to plan and not be the victim of this COVID-19, but rather, what are we going to do? What damage control and get myself back up and running. And this is my first digital talk, so I'm hoping to follow besides the Zoom calls. So I'm hoping, that this could open up doors and, multiple people could, still continue and still be part of this greater society, even though they're living at home and working from home. And I actually made the decision that as of next week, the 1st of June, I will be working full-time from home, cancelled all office arrangements and moving my PC and everything here to home because it works out. You don't need the big grand office space if you can work remotely. So it's changed my perception about a lot.
Well, I think that's one of the sort of myths that have been totally busted, for want of a word. Tutua says, "Hello, beautiful ladies. Good morning. Good morning, Tutua. Nice to have you join us." Um, I think one of the biggest myths is that you needed to be in an office to do your work. That you needed to commute or do all of those things to work properly and be productive. And I think in one of my lives, I had said that, I started my business and I started it with being online, but for a while there, I didn't think it was a real business because it was online. Um, because of the way that we've been taught, a business
We've
is
been
like,
programmed.
yeah, business is like it needs to be in an office away from your home. Even though I have an office set up in my house, it's not. I didn't feel that it was real. So thanks to COVID, it is now. People are using my whiteboard. I'm in my office. I think also just so your assistants come every day to you.
They do live on the property, but they go home weekends. So
Oh, okay. So, I mean, I think, have you offered that service to other people with disabilities? Do they know
um,
about it? Have they contacted you?
a few people, well, it's assistance with like the daily chores and just, getting on with life. So a lot of people did reach out and say that, when your family assists you, they do help, but it's completely different when your real assistant is there, because then they cook your favorite meals, and where with a family member, you have to kind of, it's like doing a favor. So
Yes.
to keep that independence and everything, you do live in as independently as possible, and with the right staff members and get around. And so thank goodness I haven't been traveling. I've been very good and stayed home since March. Yeah, the driving part, and I've saved a lot on fares, and but you still need your day to day. For a disabled person, it's completely different. Daily stuff. It's not like having a hairdresser be
Mm.
available. You actually need this person to get around, to get up, and yeah. So
No, that's good. I was just thinking that that would have opened up like a whole different service for Fability in terms of advising people how to do it during COVID. I fully understand, the family dynamic because I had a similar situation. It's much easier to have someone dedicated
yes,
um, to doing that because family actually doesn't realize that it's a necessity. They think it's a luxury. I think there's a huge mindset that needs to happen in that area for South Africans generally. Just it's actually not a luxury. That people actually to preserve their own dignity, they actually need to
yeah.
have that assistance, and you can't have that with a family member who somehow doesn't understand the dynamics. I'm not sure how that happens because they supposedly the ones that are close to you. Yeah. So tell us, you used to travel with public transport.
Yeah. So I've been working for many, many years, 21 years in.
Oh wow.
And I did want my own car, and I picked a very nice Mercedes with a panoramic roof and two doors and everything. And the technology at the time was not available in South Africa. So there was also the concern, if you're driving with like a joystick or a keypad, that when you hit a pothole, how do you control the vehicle? So it was
Mm.
all those minor little things. And I was completely devastated when I had to cancel this whole, idea that I was going to be driving around myself. And you take for granted just going to the movies alone,
Mm.
or oh, I forgot to get shampoo, and running back to the shop. Everything as a disabled person has a cost impact. So if I need to run back to the shop, I need to pay the same amount that I paid for my 1,000 groceries, in the boot. And I became reliant on public transport to go back and forth to work. Before my brother got married, he used to be my driver, so back in the young days. And when the Gau train launched, it was the most life-changing moment for me, because I could go to meetings in Pretoria. I could, go to Sandton City, and it just wasn't a problem, because you could, link with all of these suburbs. And then Uber Assist is my favorite at the moment. It literally cost me 18 Rand to run around Sandton. It's so cheap and cost effective. So, the public transport is really, I don't use things like the rear via bus, and the steps and the ramps are not really okay. I'll go flying off a platform if I had to. So there are certain things that are not 100% disabled friendly, but for my disability, the Gau train works, and Uber Assist, and the drivers are trained to help disabled people, so it makes life easier. They're not shocked when they arrive and they see me disabled.
I didn't actually realize that that we have Uber Assist in South Africa. I only know it from when I visit Emma. So I find that quite amazing. I must tell her that we have it here as well. It does allow you to be so independent. I also just want to, you've done a lot of work that is not disability specific. And I want to talk about that. Lucinda says she loves your mindset. Lucinda, I only have people on the show with positive mindset. You should know that. In terms of, you've opened up sort of other avenues, and it's just not limited to people with disabilities. Can you talk a bit about that? Because, like your modeling and your stuff like that, you've gone into areas where we would not expect. I mean, you like Emma's doing the acting, so you like in areas that you would not expect people with disabilities to be. And how has that been, like being a trailblazer? Are there other people following? Have you managed to, how has that worked? Because it's always nice to see, have we succeeded, or have you achieved or continue to achieve what you set out to do, or is it different? If I'm making myself clear, it's just like, it's wonderful, because my view is it's wonderful to have people say you're inspirational and all of that. My thing is, okay, now what are you doing about I've inspired you, so what have you done about it? Have you seen that change in what you've done?
Yeah, I am very passionate about the events sector, and with that comes the artists, the models, the speakers, athletes, and this whole entertainment factor. So I thought to myself, what can I do to help advance people's careers in that regard? So I've worked with multiple singers and help them get their songs on radio, and just the nice fluffy things. And then with that, I do bear in mind, in the back of my mind, Bernie, you are disabled, so what are you contributing to the disability sector as well? And last year I got involved, well, not last year, it was a few years coming. I needed to beg the modeling agency to have disabled models in the sector, because if you are extremely beautiful, or you've got the voice, and you've got the personality, or you have the athletic skill, why not monetize on that? Just because you're disabled, it doesn't mean you have to take the back seat and watch all the able-bodied people do all of these things. So I really tried to break that sector and just to become more inclusive and diverse. So saying the other day that I will fight all the battles just to see other people live their dreams, and that's kind of what I do. I come up with a little way like, wouldn't it be nice if we could add this person? And once everyone sees it, yeah,
that's what I like, and it's fantastic that you're doing that because we need that to open up society. I think COVID has been a great catalyst for certain things. On the other hand, for like new things, but it has also pushed old things, forward. And things that people have been doing for a while, but have just not been noticed because there's just been too much focus. So, I mean, that's your events and your modeling. And you said your bio, you said that you spent some time also in the US. Were there any learnings that you brought back, those kinds of things that you can share with the listeners here?
So when I in school, I went to a mainstream school when I was very young, but running up and down stairs became a bit of a challenge for me. And because of the infrastructure, I had to go to a school for persons with disabilities. So a disabled school is very, you have your the occupational therapist where you go and exercise. So it's like your in-house gym. You have your time when you go and you have your meals, and everything was like very I felt sheltered. I didn't know about the big world out there. And then I went to America directly after I matriculated, and I started working and commuting, and my life was very normal. I didn't realize I was, that you don't feel that you're disabled because I was kind of just, living my little dream. It was only when I came back to South Africa that I realized it was unheard of to appoint a person with a disability to work. So I think I struggled to find a job for 2 years. I went to agencies, I went for interviews, and they would sit me down and say, you know what, don't feel bad. You've got a pretty face. You might not work in your lifetime. And I thought, oh my word, this is like a massive agent telling me this. And I just took that and I thought, okay, I'm going to take the positive. I'm going to forget the negative, and I'm just going to push until I got my first real job in South Africa. And so that made me realize that there is a big problem. We're not as inclusive as what we think we are and what we say we are. And it is a challenge. I think there are so many bright minds. That's why I'm so sad that the Career Expo didn't take place, because everyone is there and you get to see all these young dynamic individuals who eventually settle for a learnership at the end of the day, because there are just no work opportunities, or a university is not fully catered to accept the person with financial factors play. And it's not as easy just to get a bursary or funding for a business. It's you have to really be driven and maybe have a little bit of financial backing to do something to push you to achieve some. And disabled people really have it tough. It's tough.
Well, maybe we should do the event online. I've kind of figured out how to use Zoom for up to 500 people at a time. And that you can actually break them into, like, those conference rooms. We should talk offline, because you can actually do that. It stretched my knowledge of how to do that. But I've learned that you can actually do it. So it's possible to do some of these big events online. It's just people need to be willing and creative to do that. And any last words to people out there? I see we've got lots of ladies listening. I hope Sibulelo said morning. And then Bernadette, you have to hear it. Fantastic. Yes, she has to. She's awesome. I think that's all. There are no questions. They're just comments today. Something that you want to say. What's your message to women particularly? My shows are targeted, geared for women in this phase. But I know that lots of people listen to. What's your general message to people during this time?
I think it's probably going to get much worse before it gets better. And just keep your head up. We've been through so much already. And, especially to the small business owners out there, people that have been retrenched, people that are not getting their salaries at all from companies that can't pursue different companies because they're already employed. Just hang in there. We're going to get through this COVID-19, and we look forward to Suzanne's future expos and communication.
I'll put you off. I think we can do something. We can actually do that online. Thank you so much for coming and sharing a bit of your experience with us. I'm sure it is good for our viewers and listeners to see that people are not withering and dying in COVID-19. They actually are flourishing, and it requires a mindset that you can do things. And well done to you. I'm really proud to be a friend of yours on Facebook and associated with what you do. And I wish you all the best going forward. And thanks, people who joined us today. If you have any comments or questions, please put them in the comments. We'll come back afterwards and reply, because while we're broadcasting, we can read your comments, but we can't actually reply. So have a wonderful day. And thank you, Bernadette, for joining us once again. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much. Bye.